this week we're discussing the notion of our backs being against the wall. Now, many situations in life, they don't run smoothly. So in order to get that business deal, you have to do something corrupt because the business deal wouldn't go through. You have to do, how else your family would eat? Therefore, it's like you're back against the wall. You have to do it.
Right.
Or you're trying to get into university. You might be the first person. You might be the first person in your whole family to go to university. And it's just one little thing on the application where you kind of have to twist the truth. But you're back against the wall. This is your one chance.
One shot, right.
To get in, so you're back against the wall. Or you're in an organization and you are asked if corruption is going on. You have to say, even though it might very well be going on and you know it's going on, you have to say no. And you have to be bold and say, no, it's not happening. But your life could be threatened. You're back against the wall. So we have to do these fleshly behavior. We have to have fleshly behavior, so to speak.
Right.
Because you're back against the wall. And again, we reiterate, is not to belittle anybody's situation. But many times it's like that temptation, it's too big. It's not even like you're thinking temptation. You're just thinking it's something that is in the process or something you just must do.
Right, and it's as though the world really doesn't give you the opportunity to say otherwise. You have to do it. Let's take a look at 1 Corinthians 10 verse 13. It says, "There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it."
So discussion question is, give examples of biblical characters whose backs were against the wall and they chose to trust God in that circumstance. In that situation, they chose to walk in the Spirit.
Right, so another way to look at having your back against the wall means things are difficult. It's a tough time or a hard time. So let's consider David when he had to fight Goliath. Like, if you compare their physical strength, David is a no match. He definitely would have lost against Goliath. But instead of cowering or running away, David leaned on the Lord of hosts.
Yep.
He went with the power of the Almighty God. Guess what? He won. So the same way, are we going against our enemies in our flesh, in our abilities, or are we going in the name of the Lord of hosts?
Next example, Joseph. Hated by his brothers, ex-con. You came out of jail, you get a good job, and then what? Wrongfully accused, back in the slummers. He went back to jail with Potiphar's wife. And the thing is, he chose to do the right thing. He chose when he said it is sin against God. That's in Genesis 39:9. Because it's like, do we ever feel like we're doing the right thing and it's just one hit after the next? And you know, it will come that time where you break and you say you don't have any other choice. You know, he finally back out of jail. You're finally out of that situation. And if something comes up, what? You do the fleshly thing. But he chose to walk in the Spirit when he said it's sin against God, and he walked away, even though immediately after he would have been punished.
Yeah, and what about these three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? You know, they were called upon to bow before something other than the Almighty God, and they chose not to. In Daniel chapter 3 verses 17 and 18, it says, "If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." So these boys' lives were being threatened, and they didn't choose the way of the flesh. They didn't bow to another god. So the same way in our lives, if we're faced with a situation where even our lives may be threatened and we're not immediately delivered, are we going to just bow before that idol?
I mean, even in our lives, when we look at it, there are idols. Money is an idol, and we discussed idols before. And are we willing to bow down because you're back against the wall? So you will do whatever. You will backstab somebody in the office. You would lie about something to get your way because you're back against the wall.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're trying to achieve money, that idol. Are we willing to not bow down to that idol and because you don't know if it doesn't happen, if you don't get the promotion, if you don't get the job, if you don't get healed immediately from that sickness, if you don't get your way in whatever, are we willing to say it's okay? I'm not going to bow down to that idol, because that's what it said in verse 18. But if not, they were ready, they were willing. And when you look at the results of all of them, David, King David, Joseph, yes, he went back to prison after Potiphar's wife, but he ended up the ruler of Egypt.
Yeah.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, what happened to them? The same king that sent them to be killed promoted them. And just like them, when you walk in the Spirit, when we walk in the Spirit, you come out of it without the smell of smoke.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what is interesting, as time is up, when we say you're back against the wall, and it's almost an impossible situation because we're looking at things in the flesh all the time. But when we walk in the Spirit, there's so many times that God deviates us from that troubled situation that hasn't even come as yet, and we don't know why we deviated. When we feed the Spirit and we continue to walk in the Spirit, why this small thing didn't happen and we gripe. And it's like you don't know what God is protecting you from in the first place, that you don't even end up in this situation where you feel like you're back against the wall.
Yeah.
Because the Spirit leads us always in the right direction. You walk in the Spirit, you walk in victory.
Yes.
God is with us and we will overcome. So get to your discussion, and God's willing, we will see you all next week.